Hello and welcome to the Freedom Experiment. This week I have a lovely guest from the Netherlands. Her name is Barbara. She is a HSP coach, which is a highly sensitive person coach. And yeah, she's here with me today, and I just want to welcome her. How are you going, Barbara?
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me. I'm fine.
No worries at all. I think we should get straight into it. What's freedom to you, Barbara?
Freedom to me is not having to wake up every morning with an alarm, just waking up when you're done sleeping. That for me is already starting the day with the ultimate feeling of freedom. And then it continues by me being able to choose what is my day going to be. What am I going to work on? Who am I going to work with? Am I actually going to work, or am I just spending my day in nature? Just the freedom of all of those choices for me is the ultimate feeling of freedom.
Beautiful. So freedom of choice, freedom to, to enjoy your days how you feel.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, perfect. How do you access this type of freedom, or how do you create this life for yourself? How have you created this life for yourself?
Well, that is a very good question because, like most people, I used to be stuck in my 9 to 5 job. Some people call it the rat race, and that is actually how it felt. I am not a morning person. I am a night owl. So I get my top energy around noon usually, and my most of my inspiration towards 5 p.m. So having to force myself to wake up every morning with a horrible alarm that I hated, and then forcing myself into my clothes, into my car, going to work when I'm not done sleeping, it was horrible. I just didn't like it at all, and I thought that that was was expected of me. You know, everybody has a job. You need to have a job to pay your bills, and everybody I talked to seemed to be miserable in their job. So it kind of felt like, yeah, this is just life. Suck it up, take it, and that's just the way it is. But I discovered that it doesn't have to be that way. I ended up in a severe burnout eventually, combination of a lot of stress at work and then things happening at home. And that combination ended me up in a severe burnout. And in that period, I found out that I am an HSP, a highly sensitive person. And that started my journey into self-discovery, into who am I? And I discovered that I was wearing all these different types of masks. A mask for when I was with my friends, a mask for when I was with my family, a mask for when I was at work, a mask for when I was with my partner. And I also discovered that I didn't really know who I was. And that also led to not really knowing what I wanted to be or do. So I was just doing something because I needed to pay the bills. And that was making me miserable. Not knowing who I am was making me miserable. Suppressing a really big part of myself was making me miserable. My day-to-day job was making me miserable. So by all accounts, I was just miserable. That's the way I was. And the burnout in the beginning, it seemed like the most horrible thing to have ever happened to me. I felt like I disappointed everybody, including myself. But it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise because the more I got to know myself and the more I got to know my user manual, who makes me me, what makes me me, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what are the things that give me energy, what are the things that are costing me energy, what are my hobbies, what do I really like to do. In discovering that, I discovered that the way into a burnout for a highly sensitive person is just completely different than for a non-highly sensitive person. So obviously the way out of that burnout was also completely different, but I was stuck in a protocol because this world loves protocols and boxes and labels, you know, and I was stuck in one that didn't fit me. So I got cognitive behavioral therapy, for instance, to get out of my burnout, but all the things that they wanted to teach me, I already knew. Didn't help, but I already knew it. And that's how I discovered that what really got me out of the burnout, and that was a 2-year stretch at least, of getting out of that burnout and discovering the ways that worked for me. I just felt this deep calling to be able to help other people in the same situation, because when I was in that situation, I discovered that there was no protocol or no form of help for highly sensitive people in the exact same situation. So that was how the idea was born of wanting to get out of the rat race, not wanting to be stuck in company politics, because I'm not a political person. What you see is what you get. I am very, very honest, and all those company politics stuff, that was just draining me, and it was horrible, and I didn't want to be like that, and I didn't want to have to be like that in order to get higher up on the ladder. And then I thought, you know, what if I can help people in this situation come out of it on top, feeling empowered, feeling wonderful for the first time in their life, feeling like they can take on the world. And that was how my first company, To Be in Balance, was created and started. And from there, it just moved on to coaching highly sensitive entrepreneurs. And now I'm doing it even broader. I'm not only coaching highly sensitive people, but also intuitive people, empath people, or what they call light workers, dark workers, starseeds. You have a whole bunch of these names, but they are all people that are just a little bit different than the rest of the world. A little bit more in tune with nature, a little bit more sensitive to energies, to moods, to health, to food, a little bit more inclined towards spirituality. And I help them to just step into their full authenticity, to let go of all the masks that I just described, and to empower themselves, to accept and embrace who they are instead of trying to hide it, and then learn everything about yourself that you can learn, so that you can start to feel proud of your uniqueness. Because, you know, I'm weird and I'm strange to a lot of people, and I love it. I embrace it now. It's just who I am. And I help other people to love and embrace it as well, so that they can also start either attracting a job that fits them. But I think if you truly want to be free and truly want to have that experience that I described with your first question, then you are meant to have a business. And that's what I help people start and create and explore.
Okay, I'm going to have to take you back to a highly sensitive person. How does one understand if they're a highly sensitive person? You've already got me thinking, well, I feel that I'm quite sensitive, but I think everyone has the ability to be sensitive. The more we take toxicity out of our life, and the more healthy we eat, the more, for me, I do meditation and yoga, the practices that we embody. I'm not sure what type of practices you embody. The more sensitive every person can be, but how does one come to that conclusion that they are a highly sensitive person?
Well, that is also a very excellent question. The fastest way to determine that is to go to my website and to take my free quiz. That will give you the answer within 5 minutes. But what makes someone highly sensitive, it's what I want to stipulate is it's not a disease and it's not an affliction. It is hereditary, and it's a natural born trait. As natural to you as the color of your hair or the color of your eyes. And what it means is that our nervous system is wired slightly different. They have already established this by putting a highly sensitive person and a non-highly sensitive person under an MRI. And then they show them the exact same images and video clips and audio fragments. And what they then see is that for the highly sensitive person, many more areas of the brain light up with the same type of exposure. So what that means is that we literally hear more, we see more, we feel more, we smell more, we taste more, and we experience more in the exact same situations as other people. So that I like to say, I like to call it my sensory antenna is just more finely tuned. I pick up more. But that also means that more information is coming in. And the second part of high sensitivity is that we are able to process all that information much faster and on a much deeper level. So in practice, that means that if somebody presents me with a solution to a problem, I can very quickly determine if that solution is going to work. Because I can see, oh, then that is going to work, or that, oh, that's not going to do what you think it's going to do. And while I was working for a boss, for me, that meant that I have the same tasks that other people would take 8 hours, I would complete in 2. And then I would not have only completed the task itself, but have done 6 other things that I encountered along the way as well. So that's the official description of high sensitivity. But what it also means is that we are perfectionists to a fault. We raise the bar really high, especially for ourselves. We also have a big problem with injustice. When people wrong us, or when we see other, especially children and animals, being wronged, that just does something to us that's very unpleasant. And it also means that we have the ability to express great empathy. We have very deep going intuition that never steers us wrong once we learn how to trust in it again, because somewhere along the line we've lost the trust in our intuition. And we are also very good at creating genuine human connections with other people. We are born mediators, so to say.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So how does that go into creating a business?
Well, there are challenges that you need to watch out for, obviously, because one other thing that we do is we can take over other people's energies and emotions as if they are our own. So when you are running a business and you are either working with clients or with coworkers, but this obviously also happens when you are working for a boss, you have the ability to take over other people's energies and emotions. So if you are a therapist or a coach like me, you have to guard yourself for not taking over your client's emotions and your client's energies. But because we can read between the lines and we can hear what is not being said, is also a really great tool within coaching, because when people tell me what is bothering them or what they are experiencing, I immediately know, without precisely knowing how I know it, but I do know it deep in. I know what the problem is. So that means I can ask them questions that get them to the same end result, to the same conclusion. Because I think being a good coach is not telling people the answer, but helping people discover the answer to their problems themselves. And that is where my sensitivity comes in, because by talking with people, I know where things are going wrong. I know what needs to happen. And then I know how to get them there by asking the right types of questions so that they discover it for themselves. And then we can start working on a solution for it.
Okay, so they're people that are in touch with themselves and in touch with people that they can serve, essentially. Where does the ego lie in this? Does the hypersensitive person philosophy have a bit of an idea of what ego is, or where that sits?
Well, what I know for ego is that ego in the basis has the function of protecting us. So in the old days, ego had the function of giving us awareness so that we knew we are not a lion, so that we knew that lions are dangerous and we needed to stay away from them, otherwise we will be their food. Or knowing that these berries can be eaten and those berries make you really sick. Or knowing this water hole is where you can safely get your water without bacteria in the water or a crocodile biting your arm off. So that's what ego did in the beginning of time, so to say. But nowadays, all lions are in the zoo and all berries in the supermarket we can eat. So that function kind of disappears. And what ego then does is ego starts to protect your mind. And that in practice means that whenever we try to get out of what we like to call our comfort zone, the things that are familiar to us, ego starts to want to protect us, because every change that we want to make, be it a good change or a bad change, he doesn't discriminate. A change means uncertainty, and uncertainty means potential danger. And the job of ego is to protect us from danger. So let's say you want to start meditating every day because you learned about meditation, you heard people speak about meditation, meditation is good for you, and you want to experience it. And then you decide for yourself, I'm going to meditate every morning. But that is a change. So ego then comes into play. And what ego then does is either make you forget that that was your intention. So you do it once, maybe twice, and then the next day you are not feeling well, or you would rather sleep 15 minutes later than meditating. And you think, well, skipping it one day won't hurt, right? And then the next day something else happens. And before you know it, you've stopped doing it. That's one thing that ego does.
Yep.
Or when it comes to hiring a coach, for instance, and you feel that that coach can really help you, and you make the decision of wanting to work with that coach, what ego then does is start to give you thoughts like, well, are we absolutely sure that we want to do this? You know, we've been doing it really well, I think, just the two of us, you know. So is this worth the investment? Because, you know, it's a big investment. So are we absolutely sure? And isn't it just maybe that we just need to accept things the way they are instead of constantly trying to find solutions for problems and never really find the solution? So then it starts to project fears and thoughts into your head with the sole purpose of stopping you from the change. Because stopping you from the change makes the danger go away, and then ego has done its job. So that's what I believe is the top function of ego. And for highly sensitive people, we are prone to insecurity because 20% of the world's population is highly sensitive, but 80% is not. So that means 1 in 5 people you meet is like you, but 4 out of the 5 people you meet are not like you. Don't think like you, don't act like you, don't talk like you cannot find a connection with them. They do stuff that you don't understand, you do stuff that they don't understand, and that makes us feel like there's something wrong with us, or that we should change. And then ego comes into play. Ego has then a great effect on our fears, because there already are fears there, because we oftentimes feel like we are not good enough the way we are.
Yeah, I can hear the insecurities that would come through with the ego. I just think it's very sounds like there's a lot of separation that can be caused there by identifying yourself as in that 20% and feeling that you don't identify with the other 80%. Immediately there would be some type of separation that almost yourself would be putting towards someone else.
That's not it, because most people don't know that they are highly sensitive. So they don't know about the 20-80 thing. I'm just mentioning this because those are the numbers, but most highly sensitive people like me don't know that they are highly sensitive. The only thing that they know is that other people are not like them, and they cannot, or I had a hard time understanding why. For most of my life, I felt weird and I felt strange. And there was actually a time where I seriously thought there was something wrong with me. And I was even diagnosed with borderline, because psychologists try to put you into those little boxes and try to label you. And a lot of highly sensitive people are misdiagnosed as autists, borderline, bipolar, ADHD, ADD. But those are all afflictions, and high sensitivity is not. But because there was so little known about it, then those labels are often put onto people. And that just reinforces that belief that there's something wrong with you, while there is not. You're just a slightly different version of a human, but that doesn't make you bad or wrong or not good enough. It's just a little bit different. And the beauty starts when you realize that and learn everything about it and start to see it as a beautiful thing instead of a confusing, somewhat disappointing, maybe not wanting to have it thing.
Yeah, wow, I'm sure this could help a lot of people. I think I can resonate with some of the things you're saying there. I think I've gone through those confused times and definitely felt sort of estranged from people I was around. And I've been on quite a journey to bring that back to presence and back to connection. And part of it is understanding the self for sure. So I can definitely meet you on a few of those levels.
Mm.
How if someone's listening to this, what are some practices that they can do right now to support their growth or their understanding, or to feel better about themselves, or to access freedom? I suppose that's what we're kind of on here for. Do you have any sort of things that you would like to share?
Yeah, obviously. For people who are struggling with not feeling good enough, I have a free tool. It's called the Transform Your Limiting Beliefs tool. It's an ebook that I wrote with 9 easy steps that will help you to transform those limiting beliefs. Because the sooner you accept who you are and start to see it as a good thing and just who you are and embrace it, the happier and the more free you will become and feel. So that's a good place to start. But in general, I think a lot of the things that you already mentioned are really well. I start with helping people breathe the right way. Most people breathe from the chest, for instance, and all things emotional happen here in the head part. A lump in your throat, pressure on your chest, stiff neck and shoulders, headaches, tears in your eyes, stuffy nose, sore throat. Everything happens here. And when you breathe up here, then it's very easy to overflow into emotion. And when you start belly breathing, so breathing from the belly, you not only connect to your power source, which is right below your navel, but it will also help you feel your limits better. And it will help you to guard your boundaries and to be more balanced and to be more in control of both your energy and your emotions. So that is a good place to start practicing your breathing. And for me, to overcome ego, I use Post-its. And I practiced my breathing every time I went to the toilet. I had a Post-it right in front of my face as soon as I sat down in the toilet that said, check your breathing. So every time I went to the toilet, I checked my breathing and I consciously moved it to my belly. And now it's on autopilot. So that is a way to transform your autopilot breathing from chest to belly breathing. And the second thing that I teach as the beginning steps is to ground yourself. I've recorded a couple of meditations that are also available on my website with grounding exercises in it, and even a complete grounding meditation that just walks you through the steps. And grounding for a highly sensitive person is like what roots would do for a really big old tree. And if you can imagine a really big tree without any roots and a storm would come, then the tree would fall over, right? Because there's nothing anchoring it to the ground. There's nothing holding it in place. And that is what happens, especially with highly sensitive people, when unexpected things happen in your life. Things that you're not prepared for, or when you have too much stress. You're like that tree without roots, and if it becomes too much, you fall over. And that usually ends up in crying or being exhausted or overwhelmed at the end of the day. So grounding is a way to also gain more control over your emotions and your energy, and to connect yourself to the earth's energy, which also allows you to replenish your energy, which is another technique I teach people how to do that, so that you can really be the boss of your energy whenever you want to. And that obviously is the beginning also of a good meditation practice, or doing stuff like yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, which are all great ways of harnessing your energy, harnessing your power, creating more mental rest and balance within the body.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love hearing you advocate meditation and yoga and Tai Chi and all that. It's definitely good to bring all that energy into the body. And yeah, grounding, that's where it's at. So if we're going to ground down in this human form, I'd love for you to go a little bit further into the stratosphere, into the starseed people, and into the what did you mention before? The kind of like
Light workers.
light workers. Yeah. Do you want to explain a little bit of that? I find it interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Light workers and dark workers and star seeds are people that feel that very strongly, and I'm one of them, that we have a mission here on earth. We are not just here to be a partner or a wife or, in my case, in your case, maybe a husband. We're not here to just serve our time. We are here to actually make a difference. We are here to either teach or to lead or to light a path, type of calling. And I believe that light workers and dark workers and people that feel that calling are here to help the rest of the world move from being a very thinking, rational society,
Yep.
towards a more feeling, intuitive society.
Yeah.
And that's the transition that we are in right now. Everything used to be very rational, very numbers, very yang,
Science.
male energy, yes. And that was just not working. You can also see it in the school system. We only learn about geography, history, economy, math, and maybe languages, biology, science, all the rational things with the mind, but we don't learn how to communicate in a good way. We don't learn what is intuition and how can I use it. We don't learn how to express empathy towards other people and how to put yourself in other people's shoes and how to help people or how to sense when someone needs your help. All those qualities we call soft skills. I think it's a horrible word, but that's how we call it. But
More of
we are
a
not.
feminine. I would call it the more of the feminine,
Yes, they're more the
feminine
yin,
skills.
feminine. Yes, energies.
Yep.
And we are now moving from the very male yang energy dominated side towards the more female yin side, and all the light workers and the energy workers and the dark workers and everybody that feels cold when I speak about these things that really resonate with that calling that I'm talking about. We are here to help the people to pave that path that the rest can then follow on towards being more balanced between yin and yang. Because I think it should not be really one or really the other. Ideally, and that's also, I'm also an acupuncturist beside a coach, so yin and yang is my field of expertise. If you know the yin and yang symbol, it's always in balance. You have yin within yang, and you have yang within yin, and it's equal. And that's the way I think it's supposed to be in order for there to be balance in the world, balance in our human form. And it's our job to help the world, the society, everybody get there.
Amazing. So what part of the yin and yang are we at the moment? I think we're sort of like coming to the end of the masculine cycle, coming into the feminine side with the seed of the masculine into the feminine. Would you say that? Do you have a timeline on that, or?
We are not completely there because our migration, I think it started around 2014, 2015. So we're still fairly new at moving in that direction. There's still a lot of work to be done. And actually how horrible Corona is, I think it's also playing a big role in that migration because we are being forced to go more inside, and inside is yin. And we are forced to slow down, which is also yin. So you can see the benefits it has on nature. The birds that are coming back, how blue the skies are. We've had the best summer ever here in the Netherlands with beautiful sunny weather that we haven't seen in a long time. So nature was slowly dying, and now nature is given a chance to revive again, which was very, very necessary.
Well, I think the masculine energy was destroying and still is destroying the natural elements of Earth, or like, the way that we're farming our land, and fossil fuels, and we can go right into it. But if we bring it to that sort of higher perspective within those two energies, I feel that, yeah, the Earth the Earth is kind of dying, but we're kind of killing it. So
Yes.
it's nice to hear. I resonate with what you're saying, that um, the feminines had time to breathe, and time to rejuvenate, and time to hold the space for everything, essentially, and time to bring everything back into harmony and balance. And that's where the real power is. Like the outward masculine power is, I think it's very weak
Yes.
on one level, and I think the real power is within the feminine, being able to hold all the energies within the one. Um,
Yes.
yeah, this is beautiful. I love bringing it to that level. Thank you for that. Um,
You're welcome.
yeah, so good. So what inspires you, Barbara? What inspires you? What brings you joy? What type of books do you read? What type of teachers do you follow, if you follow any?
Well, one that I've recently started following that I really like is Michael Beckwith. He really helped me go through the dark night of my soul, which is the transformation process of yourself when you are constantly facing the same type of situations, and you're meant to learn something from it, but you're not really learning it because you're stuck in what seems to be like an endless loop. And he helped me to get out of it and to see it for what it was, and to really grow in as a spiritual being, and to really connect and feel that connection to everything, because his belief, and I believe it too, is that we are all connected, every one of us, but also with plants, with flowers, with everything, with space, with the universe. We're all one. And that was really enlightening. So he is one person that really inspires me. But I got to know him through Vision Lucky Honey of Mind Valley. He is also somebody that I think is doing really wonderful work, because he is bringing together some of the best teachers on helping us move from that yang to the yin energy part together in his Mind Valley dream, and making it available to a large sum of people on a very affordable scale, which I think is truly amazing. He's done really beautiful work. But there are also others, I loved Jen Cicero, You're a Badass, or You're a Badass at Making Money, are two of her books that I really liked. But also Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway from Megan Jeffers is a really good book to help you overcome fears that people might have. Or Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, I've got that book
Is
here. That's good.
Yes, because highly sensitive people, especially, but I think people in general, but especially highly sensitive people, we care too much about what other people think about us, what their opinion is, if they like us, how they talk about us, and we value that more than how we think about ourselves and how we talk about ourselves. And I think that that should be the other way around. If you know that you're a loving, kind person, and that everything you do comes from a place of love, then even if another person doesn't accept it as that and sees it as an assault or whatever, but if you know that you come from a place of love, then that should be the most important thing, and not that somebody is in some frame of mind or some stuck energy that was not open enough to receive it the way it was meant to be. So that is
Beautiful.
also a really inspiring book. Yeah.
Yeah, you think that book helps the highly sensitive people to, not give a fuck in a certain on a certain level. I think I've
Yes.
experienced that myself with definitely too much caring sometimes, and can lose myself within that
Exactly.
process of empathizing too much, and then can just come from then I'm coming from a place of lack, and can't even
Mhm.
um, can't even do anything to benefit that person that I'm empathizing with. So it's definitely
Yes.
for me, it's a tricky, still a bit of a tricky field for me to
Mm.
navigate how to empathize but still hold your own energy, so to speak. How do you have a process for that?
Well, everybody asks me how is it that you don't care? But it's not that I don't care. It's just that I
Attached.
weigh what people say. You know, there are if people give me feedback, then I always listen. I'm always open. I listen to what they have to say. I analyze it, and if they have a point, if they have a valid point, then I am a big enough person to say, you're right. I could have done that differently, or I could have brought that more subtly, or you're right. You can also interpret it in that way. I never thought it could be interpreted in that way. It's not the way I meant it to be interpreted, but I can see your point of view. I can see why it came across as it did, and obviously that was not my intention. My intention was, and then I can share with them how I intended what I shared with them, and then they can see, oh yeah, oh, now I get where you are coming from. And then you have just this beautiful conversation with someone that leads to a beautiful end result, instead of me feeling horrible because they were hurt. Well, that was not my intention, and them feeling hurt, what was definitely not the intention. So I think working on your communication and keeping an open heart and an open mind, especially while communicating, is key in overcoming these things. So don't go into autopilot function, because that is what often happens. You know, I usually give this example. If I were to tell you, David, right now, oh, you with that stupid polka dot hat, and then you with that god hideous purple shirt with the yellow stripes. God, man, what were you thinking about? How can you wear something like that on camera for an interview? See, you're smiling. And why are you smiling? Because it's ridiculous. You
Yeah.
don't feel personally affected because you're not wearing a polka dot hat. You're not wearing a purple shirt with yellow stripes. So you're able to just laugh it off. But if I were to say something about your blue shirt and your messy blonde hair, for instance, then it would become more difficult because it's closer to the truth.
Mm.
But
I
it's
hear.
still the same thing. So it's not what people say that hurts you, it's the way that you internalize it that hurts you. So
Yep.
if you are able to pause when somebody says something and analyze what are they actually saying, and does it need to affect me, does it need to hurt me, and how do I feel about it myself? Maybe I am wearing a purple shirt with yellow stripes, and maybe I'm in love with it and it's my favorite shirt. So then when you hate it, well, okay, yeah, that's your right. You know, you can hate it. That's fine. It's my favorite shirt, so I'm wearing it. That is a skill, but you can learn that skill. And it starts with becoming aware that these things are happening, and then being able to pause when people say something so that you have time to reflect on it and then choose your response.
Yeah, and essentially not taking things personally, I suppose, and that's a big lesson. I think it took me a while to learn. Was that we're all caught in our own projections, essentially. So someone even intimidating you or having a go is it's just a cry out from their own reality. Yeah. So it's essentially on a deeper level, it's always just a cry for love, essentially. Um, if you can take it
Yes.
to that level, that's always nice as well. But it's
Mhm.
nice to understand that to not take it so far in. But then, yeah, can get a bit tricky as well. Oh,
Yeah, it's to do with self-confidence also. A lot of us are still lacking in the self-confidence department because of many of the things I already shared, with a deep-rooted belief oftentimes that we are not good the way we are. We're not good enough. And that makes these remarks take hold because we already feel like we're not good enough. And then it sort of becomes like a validation of that feeling.
Mm.
But if you work on your self-image, if you know who you are and you feel confident in your own skin and confident in the person that you are, then things people say will have less of a hold on you. So you can work on overcoming those beliefs that you're not good enough. And if you start to turn it around in believing like, you know, I am who I am, and that's just perfectly fine. And maybe then moving towards, yeah, but I love myself and I love other people and I come from a place of love. So yeah, it saddens me that you don't see it. And it saddens me that you don't like it, but I still know that to be true. So that it's a migration, and yeah, the way you see yourself, the confidence you have in yourself, and the way you love yourself are key elements in that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's so true. To just find your own peace and love for yourself within, and not look for it externally, and not be so worried about what happens externally. It's pretty easy for us to say now, but yeah. So, do you have much that you're offering online, or?
Yes, I do. I have both. Well, my main offer is a 3-month one-on-one coaching program with me, and it also includes access to my online program, and it will be tailor-made to people and their specific needs and the problems that they are facing, so that they can overcome those things within 3 months of working with me. And it starts also with a 90-day game plan in which we will identify the things that you want to work on, and I'll pinpoint the resources I have that will help you in working on those things. But obviously that is not for everybody. So I also have a group coaching version of the same thing. And that obviously will be a little bit more affordable.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'll put your link down on the podcast, and so people can look that up. That
Awesome.
sounds great. I think we'll leave it there for tonight for me, and for today for you, Barbara. I think it was really
Yes.
good chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking with you. I think we touched upon some really amazing subjects that can help a lot of people that are listening today. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share.
No worries. Yeah, thank you. I was really happy with what came out. So thank you so much, Barbara. You have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too.
Hmm. Okay, that was a lovely Barbara. Yeah, the HSP coach. Yeah, I found that podcast really interesting and insightful. I think there's a lot of wisdom in there. Yeah, so that's another episode, I suppose. It's late night for me, so I'm just kind of getting getting my snooze on. Uh, if you would like to, learn some more, watch some more stuff, you can find me on Facebook, The Freedom Experiment with David Smith, and YouTube as well, and Instagram, thefreedomexperiment.com.au. And what else am I on? I'm on Spotify, the same, The Freedom Experiment with David Smith. And yeah, I'm just getting my website set up. So once that's set up, it will be thefreedomexperiment.com.au, and I'm creating an online course with yoga and meditation to offer. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for listening, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.